In today's video, I'm going to go over the core systems and mechanics that you can access at the vendors in Diablo 4. So when the game releases, you have a solid understanding of how these things work because they are quite important. Let's jump right in. So I'm going to start off with the basics, and that of course is the armor and weapon vendor, which can be found in several different towns, but we're going to do all of this in Kyovashad. You can see on the map here we have this building that has the armor vendor symbol and also the weapon vendor. So the primary use of these two vendors is really to sell certain equipment and items to gain gold if you have no other use for them. And many times you are going to have other uses for them, and you'll understand why here shortly. Now, over in the same shop, we also have the ever so useful blacksmith, and we have 3 different tabs to choose from: salvage, repair, and upgrade weapons and armor. I'll start with the repair tab. So every time you die in Diablo 4, your equipment loses 10% of its durability, and if that goes down to 0, your equipment will no longer work and it breaks, and it's quite expensive to repair it. So if I wanted to repair this individual item, click on the little blacksmith hammer, hover over the chest item. It costs 161 gold to repair, and then click, and that item now has 100 out of 100. You can also repair all of your equipped items by clicking on this option right here, or all the items that are equipped and also in your inventory all at one time. Moving on to the Salvage tab, which allows you to break down equipment to gain crafting resources, which can be used to further upgrade your gear. Now, you can do this really easily after you complete a dungeon. If you just go into your inventory and click spacebar on all the items that you want to break down, it will mark those items as junk, as you can see right here. Then we go back to the blacksmith, click on all junk, and then it will just salvage all of those. Or you can salvage everything that's common, magic, which is blue, or rare, which is yellow, or all 3 of those at one time. The game will not salvage your legendary items unless you individually choose to salvage them. So if I go over here and click on the Eluding Adventurer's Tunic, a pop-up box will appear and it will say, "Are you sure you want to destroy this?" And I'm happy that they have this system so we don't accidentally destroy legendary gear, which can be used for a lot of other things in this game. Now, of course, the higher rarity of an item that you have that you're going to salvage gives you a better chance of getting more and rarer crafting resources, which can be used for more useful upgrades. Let me go ahead and just break down Strider's Tunic right here, and you can see that I got 2 raw hide, and then I'm going to break down the Cosmos Talent. And actually, I got an iron chunk. I didn't get anything rare out of it because there is RNG behind this, but there's a better chance that I'll get better crafting resources from breaking down those rare or legendary items. Now, it's also important to note that you will come across ore deposits in the world and also get stuff from drops from certain creatures that will also give you crafting materials. Now, the last tab that is offered at the blacksmith is the item upgrade tab, and you can upgrade any rarity of item, and it costs certain resources and also gold. So if I take this helm right here and put it in the upgrade slot, you'll notice in the bottom that it requires 10 raw hide to upgrade and also 4,500 gold. And I can upgrade a yellow material or yellow equipment, rare equipment, 3 total times. If I were to try to upgrade common equipment, you can only do it 1 time. Blue rarity equipment, magical equipment, you can only upgrade twice. And then legendary equipment, your orange equipment or weapons, you can actually upgrade 4 times. Of course, it becomes more expensive every time you upgrade. So to upgrade this legendary tunic, it costs 10 raw hide at first, 5,000 gold. But the second upgrade right here, now it also costs 3 superior leather and also the 10 raw hide. Let's go ahead and upgrade again. Now it costs rare crafting materials such as veiled crystals. This of course works with weapons and armor alike, both requiring different types of crafting materials. So your armor typically requires materials such as raw hide, and then if you were to grab a weapon, now you're looking at ore type crafting materials, and the first upgrade for this costs 14 iron chunks. If I were to upgrade this scythe right here, you can see that it gets a +6 to its DPS and also an increase to a bunch of the affixes here. You can see its base affix here is 14% critical strike damage, but if I upgrade it, not only do I get the DPS boost to the weapon's damage, but also that critical strike damage goes up 0.7% to 14.7%, and then it also does it for all of the other affixes as well. Now, while I'm running over to the Alchemist to talk about that system, if you hit inventory or hit I and you click on materials and stats, this is where you can see all of your materials. They're not stored in your regular inventory. So this is a nice little system they have here, and you can see you have monster parts, skins, ore, plants, and also material that you've actually salvaged yourself. So now we're coming up to the vendor, which is represented by the mortar and pestle icon. In the vendor, on the first tab, it's going to allow you to upgrade your potions when you meet the level requirement. So once you hit level 10, you can upgrade your weak healing potion to a tiny healing potion. When I hit 30, I can upgrade my minor healing potion to a light healing potion. When you hit level 90, you can actually upgrade to a superior healing potion, with each upgrade, of course, costing more materials. So when my character hits level 30, which you can't reach in the beta, it's going to cost Gallovine, Bite Berries, and Crushed Beast Bones. But when I upgrade to my level 10 potion, actually it doesn't show me. It costs a lot less materials. So of course, you're going to want to upgrade your potions as soon as you meet that level requirement. This is a pretty significant upgrade that will allow you to heal through the damage that you're going to be taking that corresponds to the level and the difficulty that you're playing at. The second tab on the Alchemist is to craft elixirs. And elixirs are potions in this game. If I click right here, you can see there's 9 elixirs that I can possibly craft, with each one requiring different resources. If I wanted to craft the weak elixir of poison resistance, it requires Gallovine and Howler Moss, while the weak assault elixir requires Gallovine and Lifesbane, with each requiring a different amount of those herbs or gatherable materials. The one in the beta that a lot of us used is the Iron Barb Elixir, because it gives you a 5% increase to experience for 30 minutes, and it costs Gallovine and Biteberry. And the third tab is the Refine Resources, which allows you to turn certain resources into other resources. So if I was running low on Biteberry and I needed some Biteberries, if I click on Biteberry right here, you can see that I can make 1 Biteberry at the cost of 5 Gallovine, and also gold too. It says cost to craft 200 gold, and then you can see my available gold. So if we take a look at my inventory right here, you can see that I currently have 149 Biteberry, 137 Gallovine. So let's go ahead and click on Biteberry, craft 1. And now I have 132 Gallovine because it took 5 away, and I have an extra Biteberry, and now I have 150. So this lets you kind of mix your resources around to create other resources if you need certain things. But it's not just all herbs, and you'll notice here at the bottom we can create superior leather at the cost of rawhide, and also silver ore at the cost of iron chunks. Now I'm heading out to the Occultist, which is a very, very, very useful NPC vendor in this game, and it's represented by this triangle symbol right here. And in Kioshavad, it is Demyen, the Occultist. So let's go have a chat with him. And the different things that we can do at this vendor are imprint aspects, extract aspects, craft sigils, salvage sigils, and also enchant items. So going back to the first tab, the imprint aspect tab, this allows you to add an aspect to your gear, which is like a special passive buff. So if I take my scythe right here, and you can only do this with rare or legendary equipment, it then lets me add a Codex of Power or an aspect. I should mention that if you already have an aspect or a Codex of Power on a piece of gear, it will overwrite the current one with the new one that you're putting on. Both the Codex of Powers and the aspects from your inventory are similar in that they offer these powerful passive buffs, but Codex of Powers are class specific and sometimes skill specific, while aspects from your inventory tend to be more general in nature. It's important to also mention that once you obtain a Codex of Power, you can use it indefinitely. It goes into this special book in the game, and you always have access to those Codex of Powers. While with the aspects, if you extract one and then use it on a piece of gear, you can never use it again, or if you lose it, sell it, etc., it's gone until you find another one. To obtain Codex of Powers, you have to complete specific dungeons. And if we take a look at my map right here, and we look for a dungeon that has a little treasure chest symbol next to it, you can see that the Forbidden City dungeon will reward me with the Night Howlers aspect, which is a druid-only aspect. But these are account-wide. So if I earn this with my Necromancer, I'll also have it on my druid when I play my druid character. And then your aspects from your inventory can be obtained by breaking down legendary items, or they might also be drops too. Somebody let me know below in the video comments. So if I wanted to add a Codex of Power to my scythe right here, I click on Codex of Power, and then we can actually organize this into your current class only to make it easier to know what you can actually use. So if I click on Show My Class Only, you can see that I have the Bloodbath aspect, which will increase the power of my Blood Surge skill for my necromancer. So if I am a necromancer that's using blood surge, this aspect could be quite useful, but maybe I have a different build of necromancer. You're probably going to look for a different type of Codex of Power, or you're going to use an aspect. And then right here you can see what items you can actually put this Codex of Power on: amulets, weapons, gloves, and also rings. If I were to take a different piece of equipment like this helm and then click on Codex of Power, you can see that we actually can add it to different items. We have different available Codex of Powers, and there's a little tab at the top here. So the first tab means that this is an armor Codex of Power, or it's a defensive Codex of Power. And then the little trap symbol right here is a crowd control type of Codex of Power. So they organize it further into these categories. So if I didn't have a good Codex of Power or one that I wanted to use, I can also add an aspect from my inventory. We have our own little special inventory for aspects alone. And you can see here that I have one aspect that will actually be equipable on this particular item. So let's go ahead and drag that into the aspect slot. And you can see right here, the star icon represents aspects on gear. This will deal 5.8% increased damage for each second you stand still, up to 30%. So you can do a Codex of Power or an aspect from your inventory, and then it costs gold to actually imprint this on your weapon, and it also costs crafting materials. In this case, rare crafting materials, which you can get by finding them out in the open world, or by salvaging rare equipment, which we talked about previously at the blacksmith. My character is currently broke, so I can't do this because while I was trying to learn these systems, I spent all of my gold. Now the second tab is the extract aspect, and you can only extract aspects from legendary items. If we go ahead right here and grab that scythe that I had earlier and place it right there, it will destroy the scythe, but it will give me the aspect. So the aspect for this particular item currently is that it has a 43% increased critical strike chance against injured enemies, and while you're healthy, you gain 85% increased crowd control duration. So this is really nice because maybe I want that aspect, but I don't really care about the item. I can break it down off of the legendary item, destroying the item, and it also costs gold to do this, and then take that aspect and imprint it on a different or better piece of equipment or weapon that I found. The third tab is the Craft Sigils tab, and the fourth tab is the Salvage Sigils tab. And don't really need to get deep into this because this is endgame activities that we can't even access in the beta. But basically, sigils will make dungeons harder and turn them into nightmare dungeons and allow you to get more XP, loot, and gold and all that good stuff. And then if you get salvage, or if you make sigils or you find sigils as drops, you can also break them down into different materials. Sigil dust, I think, is what it's called in this game, which will allow you to craft other sigils. So we'll just leave it at that for right now because this will be something that we talk about endgame. And the last tab at the Occultist is the Enchant item tab. So when we're talking about aspects, we're dealing with the passive buffs that are represented by the star on your equipment. Your affixes are everything above that and underneath that bar right there. So 18 thorns, 3.5% cooldown reduction, 1% total armor, and 7% essence cost reduction. Those are the affixes on this gear. And what we can do is I can take this amulet, drop it into the box right here, and then we can take one of those affixes and swap it out for something else. But this is a random system, an RNG system, and you also have to pay gold in order to do this. So let's go ahead and say that I don't really care about cooldown reduction on this particular piece of gear for my character and the build that I have. So let's click on the 3.5% cooldown reduction, and then down here it actually requires that I have Valed crystals and also a Fiend Rose. And if I pay 5,000 gold, I can then switch that out with some other options. But there will be an option to not take any of the new affixes. But once you click enchant, you've already spent those materials. Unfortunately, I'm missing the Fiend Rose right now, so I can't show this off. Let me see if there's a different item that I can do this for. Yeah, let's take the gloves right here. So for the gloves, I'm going to go ahead and say I want to replace the attack speed, for example. At the cost of 1 Valed crystal and 2,700 gold, if I click on that, it'll give you the option to not do this if you don't want to, because this does bind this item to your account and you can no longer sell it. You can then see we have the replace affix screen that pops up here, and we can replace that attack speed with a +7 to dexterity, a 1.5% attack speed, which is obviously worse, or do no change at all. But like I mentioned earlier, your materials will not be refunded, so it's a bit of a gamble. So this is a really neat system to kind of change out your affixes to better suit your particular build. And right next door to the Occultist is the Jeweler, which allows us to further upgrade our gear. And the different tabs at the jeweler are craft gems, unsocket, add sockets, and also upgrade jewelry. Starting with the upgrade jewelry, this is basically the same as the blacksmith, allowing us to upgrade our armor or our weapons. This is where you upgrade your rings and your amulets, and of course it does require resources. So if I take this ring right here and drop it into the slot, you can see that it costs 5,400 gold and also 5 iron chunks for me to upgrade this. And you can see what the upgrades are. Everything is represented in green, which is going to be increased. But going back to gems, so you can put gems onto your gear as long as you have a gem socket, which will give you a further increase in power to different things. So if you want to know if you have a socket on your gear, look for a little circle. So you can see right here on top of this amulet right here, there's this gem socket and there's no gem that is in it. And you can also see that it says empty socket in the item description. So that means that we can simply click on any gem that we have, which you can find as drops, or you can create gems, such as the crude topaz, and we can drop it onto the chain. Now we have a gem on this amulet, giving it more affixes, I guess you could say, gem affixes in this case. But some gear that you have won't actually have a gem slot. For example, the legendary pants right here, there's no little open circle. So what I'm going to do is click on the jeweler and go to add sockets, and then grab those legendary pants, drop them right here, and we can create a gem socket at the cost of 18,000 gold basically, and also 2 scattered prisms, which can be found primarily from world bosses or very, very big bosses that you fight in the game. So when you have gear that you feel pretty comfortable with, go ahead and make a socket on that gear if it doesn't already have one, so you can further add gems to them to increase the gear's power. Now, unsocket allows you to take gems off of different equipment items. So let's say I have this gem right here on this amulet, but I don't want it because I want to put a different gem on it. Simply click on the little box right here and then go over to the gem that you want to extract from an item. Click on it, and it does cost almost 3,000 gold. And then you'll notice that that gem is no longer on my amulet anymore. It's empty, and the gem is returned to my inventory, and I can use it for something else. So far for the jeweler, we've gone over upgrading your jewelry like you do at the blacksmith with weapons and armor, adding sockets to your gear so you can put gems on that gear, and also taking gems off of your gear or off of your items to use for other purposes. Now, the first tab here is the Craft Gems tab, which allows you to take gems that you found in the world as drops and turn them into better gems. So, for example, if I want to create a chipped amethyst, I need 3 crude amethysts, and the chipped amethyst is an upgrade to the crude amethyst. Now, I expended all my resources as I was learning this stuff, so I can't actually show you the upgrade. I can't show you me actually doing the upgrade, but you can see everything right here. The chipped amethyst gives you a plus 5% damage over time to weapons, while the crude amethyst, which I don't currently have in my inventory, I think is a plus 4% damage over time. So crafting gems just allows you to take the gems that you found and make them a little bit more powerful if you have enough of them, to then add the more powerful gems into gear that has sockets. Now, hopefully I'm explaining this decent enough. It's like 10 minutes left of the beta, and I really am rushing this video out, but I'm happy that I did it because it helps solidify my knowledge a little bit too. But really, there's nothing else that's really that important except the Purveyor of Curiosities, which I almost forgot. So let's head over there right now. And the Purveyor of Curiosities is represented by this little gold coin purse icon. So I have arrived, and this NPC is basically your gambling NPCs. If we click on Lisveth here, what it allows us to do is to buy different types of gear at the cost of murmuring obols, which are drops that you'll get as you play the game. I think the best place currently to gather up murmuring obols is at the world events, which are represented by orangish circles that you'll come across as you're out adventuring. So if you have murmuring obols, what you can do is you can buy a particular item right here, and it's going to give you an RNG drop for that item. So currently I have 155 obols. So let's say I wanted to buy a sword. It will cost me 50 obols. Let's go ahead and click on it. And then it's going to give me a random sword. You guys can't see that well because my head's in the way. You can see I got a regular common sword, which is unfortunate. Let me go ahead and buy another one. Let's see if we can get a better drop. And I got another common sword. Earlier when I was trying this, I actually did get a legendary, but it's a lot harder to get a legendary. So this is basically just a gambling system where you spend your murmuring obols to try to get random drops. And of course, keep in mind that you might not be looking for the best weapon. You might be looking for an aspect that you can take off of a weapon, or maybe looking for things to salvage materials off of. Now you can only hold like 500 something murmuring obols when you're level 25, I believe. So you might as well spend them, because you know, staying at the maximum 500 something isn't really doing you any good. You're just not able to gather anymore. So when you've reached the maximum, come back here, spend some, and then you'll be filling back up. You might as well play the RNG game a little bit. Now, the only exception here is the Whispering Key, and I would recommend picking up a couple of these as soon as you can, because you're going to come across certain chests in the world, which are called silent chests, and in order to unlock those chests, you have to have a Whispering Key. So the Purveyor of Curiosity is your gambling agent. This is the casino where you spend your murmuring obols to try to get random gear. Hopefully we don't see murmuring obols in the cash shop for Diablo 4. I mean, they said they weren't going to do anything like that, but who knows? Blizzard is pretty clever with their words. Something like this would be a bummer, because it would technically be pay to win, because people that spend money could buy murmuring obols to get random drops to make their character more powerful. And the more disposable income you have, the more powerful you could potentially become. Hopefully we don't see that in the cash shop, but I guess only time will tell. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. Hopefully I helped explain some of this for you guys so you have a better understanding when the official game releases on June 6th or earlier, for those of you guys that pre-order certain editions of the game. My computer just went black. I was about to switch to a special Diablo screen. I think it's coming back right now. Nope, it's not coming back. Uh-oh. Did I frame my graphics card? I think we're good. Okay. Oh, okay. We're going to end the video here right now because there's some funky stuff going on with my computer. I'll catch you guys on the next one.